Let me take you on a journey. Not true stories of people you've never met, but through the corridors of your own soul. A journey that begins with a question many are afraid to ask. What does it really take to be successful? Not the kind of success that sparkles on a social media post or shows up in bank statements, but the kind that whispers to you at night. You are enough. You are growing. You are becoming. Success is not a destination you reach with applause echoing in the background. It is a quiet, sacred process, a decision made 1,000 times in silence to keep showing up even when everything inside you says stop. It is not about being unbreakable. It is about being beautifully broken and still rising again and again. If you want to touch the truth of success, you don't need to run. You need to pause and listen. Listen to the habits, the rhythms, the anchors that shape your days. The first and perhaps most powerful of them all is gratitude. And I'm not talking about the kind of gratitude you post on Thanksgiving or scribble into a planner because someone told you it's trendy. I'm talking about fierce, radical gratitude. The kind that shows up when your plans collapse, when you receive rejection after rejection, when the door you've been knocking on for years refuses to open. Gratitude is not passive. It is not soft. It is the roar of a heart that refuses to be bitter. It is a declaration that says, even this, even the pain, even the delay, even the loss will not make me forget the beauty in my life. When you learn to practice gratitude in the dark, you don't just become successful, you become unshakable. Because no failure can rob you of what you still see, what you still feel, what you still believe. Start with one thing, one small thing, the ability to breathe, the warmth of a sunrise, a kind message, a second chance. And when the mind wants to drift into what's missing, gently, lovingly bring it back to what is. Gratitude is the soil where hope takes root. And hope is the light that shows us the way to success, even when the path ahead seems invisible. The second habit is about what you feed your mind. Just like your body cannot thrive on junk, your mind cannot thrive on noise. What you read, what you listen to, what you speak about, all of it is shaping you. Every day you are either watering the weeds of doubt or the flowers of possibility. And the choice, though quiet, is always yours. You don't need a library of books or hours of podcasts. You need intention. You need to ask yourself, what am I inviting into my mind? Because your mind is not just a storage room. It is a temple. If you want to create a life that rises above the average, you must guard what you consume. Feed your mind with truth, with inspiration, with stories that remind you of who you are when you forget. Read not to impress, but to transform. Learn not for the applause, but for the quiet rebuilding of your soul. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when the voice inside says, "Who are you to dream this big?" That is when you need the armor you've been building, the words, the lessons, the truths you've been absorbing. It is not in moments of peace that your habits are tested. It's in the chaos. And if you've made it a habit to feed your mind well, your inner world becomes stronger than any outer storm. The third habit, and this one is often the least glamorous, but the most essential, is consistency. Not speed, not perfection, just showing up. Day after day, moment after moment, even when no one is clapping, especially when no one is watching. Success is not the product of giant leaps taken once a year. It's the result of tiny, ordinary steps taken every single day. It's waking up and writing the page even when it feels pointless. It's going to the gym when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's saying no to distractions, not because you always feel strong, but because you've made a commitment to yourself. Consistency is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't announce itself. But it builds the strongest foundation. Over time, it carves out character, resilience, focus. And those things, those invisible muscles, are what carry you when life tests your limits. Too often we think success is about intensity. That if you work hard enough for a few days, we'll arrive at some magical destination. But intensity fades. Passion fizzles. Emotions change. What lasts is discipline. And discipline is built through repetition, not reward. You will have days when you feel like giving up. Days when progress is invisible. Days when the weight of your dreams feels heavier than your will to carry them. And that's okay. You don't have to run. You don't have to fly. You just have to keep going. Even if it's slow. Even if it's messy. Just don't stop. Let me tell you something many people won't say. It's okay to rest. It's okay to pause. But never let a pause become permanent. Your success is waiting. But it's not waiting at the finish line. It's waiting in your habits. In your small, consistent, almost invisible choices. That's where transformation lives. If you're asking yourself, where do I begin? Begin here. Right here. With the breath you're taking, the thought you're thinking, the choice you're about to make. Choose gratitude. Feed your mind. Show up with consistency. You don't need a plan for the next 10 years. You need the courage to take the next step. Because success doesn't always look like fireworks and celebrations. Sometimes it looks like a tired soul whispering, I will try again tomorrow. And that, my friend, is more powerful than any applause. There's something the world often forgets to tell you about success. It's not always shiny, not always celebrated, and definitely not always comfortable. What we see, the medals, the awards, the applause, is just the tip of the iceberg. What lies beneath is something far more raw, far more real. If you truly want to understand the anatomy of success, you must first make peace with failure. This is the fourth habit, the one most of us try to avoid. We fear, hide from, and sometimes even let define us. But what if I told you that success does not come in spite of failure? It comes because of it. Let that sit with you. Failure is not a sign that you're not good enough. It's not a stamp that says, stop trying. Failure is a mirror. It shows you where you need to grow, not where you need to give up. The problem is never falling down. The problem is convincing yourself that staying down is safer than rising again. We live in a culture that worships instant results. We scroll through curated lives and begin to believe that success should be smooth. But nothing meaningful, nothing lasting has ever been built without setbacks. In fact, the most powerful people you admire, the ones who seem unstoppable, they've simply made failure a friend. They've sat with it, listened to it, and most importantly, they've learned from it. I have seen people rise not because life gave them the perfect opportunity, but because failure gave them the perfect lesson. You see, when everything is going well, you don't ask deeper questions. You don't search for new strength. You don't innovate. But failure, it pushes you into uncomfortable places. It cracks open the part of you that wants to grow but is afraid. And if you're willing, truly willing, to look at your failure not as proof that you're unworthy, but as a powerful teacher, then you will transform. But it's a choice, always a choice. You can let failure make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. So how do you do that? Start by changing the conversation in your mind. When you stumble, don't say, I failed. Say, I learned. Don't say, I'm not good at this. Say, I'm not good at this yet. Shift the language. The words you use on yourself matter more than you know. They either build you or break you. And remember this. Failure is not a destination. It's a stop along the way. You're allowed to visit it, reflect in it, even cry in it, but you don't live there. You get back up, even if your hands are trembling and your heart is heavy. You rise, not because it's easy, but because your vision is worth it. Now let me share with you a habit that is often misunderstood. A habit that many mistake for weakness. But I will tell you, it is one of the strongest things you can ever carry. Be kind. Yes, kindness, the fifth habit, and not just to others, but to yourself. We are taught to chase goals, to be productive, to work hard, and that's good. But somewhere along the way we forget that we are human beings, not machines. That behind the goals and the hustle is a soul that needs care, a heart that longs for compassion, a mind that sometimes just wants to breathe. You can be driven and kind, ambitious and soft, powerful and gentle. Kindness is not weakness. In fact, in a world that often tries to harden you, kindness is resistance. It is courage. And it begins with how you treat yourself. Some of you are carrying heavy burden. You're pushing forward, but your inner dialogue is filled with self-judgment. You call yourself lazy when you're tired. You call yourself stupid when you make a mistake. You punish yourself in silence. And still, you wonder why success feels so far away. My friend, you cannot hate yourself into a version of you that you love. Success begins with honoring your humanity, with looking into the mirror and saying, I may not be perfect, but I'm trying. I am learning. I am worthy. Speak to yourself as you would to a child who's just learning to walk. You wouldn't yell at them for falling. You would cheer for every attempt, every wobbly step. Do the same for yourself. You are still learning. You are still growing. You deserve kindness, especially from you. And once you start practicing this inward kindness, something magical happens. It spills outward. You start treating others with more patience. You become a safe space for the people around you. You start lifting others without losing your own strength. And do you know what that makes you? Unforgettable. Because long after, people forget what you said. Or they will remember how you made them feel. Kindness builds bridges. It opens doors. It turns strangers into allies. And in the world of success, those bridges, those connections, they matter more than you think. But again, this is a habit, not a one-time act. It's not about smiling once or doing a good deed once. It's about carrying that softness with you, even in rooms where it's rare, even on days when you feel depleted, even when the world doesn't return the favor. Because the kindness you give is never wasted, even if it goes unnoticed, even if it isn't returned. It does something to you. It strengthens your character. It deepens your soul. And that too is success. So let's put this all together. You've learned to see your failures not as walls but as windows. You've chosen to be kind, not just outwardly. You've started showing up consistently on the hard days, the dull days, the invisible days. You've begun feeding your mind with words, thoughts, and stories that nourish your spirit. And you've made gratitude your daily anchor, the lens through which you view the world. You know what happens when these 5 habits come together? You change. Not instantly, not dramatically, but steadily, deeply. You begin to build a version of success that is no longer tied to outcomes, applause, or perfection. You begin to define success by how you live, not just what you achieve. And slowly, without even realizing it, you become someone others look at and say, there's something different about them. Something powerful, something real. But it's not magic. It's 1,000 tiny choices. It's a decision to rise after falling, to love after breaking, to believe after doubting, and to keep going again and again when the path ahead is unclear, but the fire inside you still burns. That is success. And that is who you are becoming. So if you ask me today, what truly makes someone successful? I won't point to the titles, the trophies, or the applause. I will point to the quiet strength it takes to wake up and try again, to choose gratitude when life is unfair, to nurture your mind when the world distracts you, to stay consistent when no one's watching, to see failure as a teacher, not a threat, and to carry kindness not as a performance, but as a way of life. Because in the end, success is not something you chase. It's something you become. And the person you're becoming is already on their way. Step by step, habit by habit, with grace, with grit, and with a heart that refuses to give up. So keep going. The world needs your light, exactly as you are.